What up, though, and welcome to Meet the Artist. I'm your host, Jessica Kira Moore, and on today's show, we'll feature two amazing artists, both of whom have deep roots in the city of Detroit. First up is artist and educator Sabrina Nelson, who exudes the Detroit work-hard, blue-collar, grind mode artist mentality. We'll also introduce you to Craig Paul Nowack, whose first artistic moment was realizing at 5 years old he could draw caricatures of his father as a robot. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
If Usain Bolt represents Xfinity Internet, what happens when we double the speed on two of our most popular plans? Meet his twice-as-fast brother, Insane Bolt. Now stream movies and shows twice as fast. Xfinity, the fastest just got faster.
Sabrina's professional art career spans over 29 years, and her work includes painting, sculptures, objects, and installations. Through her work with students, she tries hard to motivate and prepare them to pursue art careers in Detroit. Here is Sabrina Nelson.
Ne me quitte pas, il faut oublier tout, faut s'oublier qui s'enfuit déjà, oublier le temps des malentendus et le temps perdu, à savoir comment oublier ces heures qui tuent parfois à coup de pourquoi le cœur du bonheur. Ne me quitte pas, ne me quitte pas, ne me quitte pas, ne me quitte pas.
Hey, Sabrina Nelson, thank you so much for coming on Meet the Artist. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Thank you, Jazz.
Oh my goodness. So you're
Right.
such a good friend of mine, and you're an amazing visual artist. But for people who don't know you, who are watching today, just tell me a little bit about your upbringing in Detroit. How did you get started? How did Sabrina Nelson become a full-time visual artist?
Well, I
us
was
your
born in 1967, so all of the things that led from, I guess, my upbringing, the women in the family, the creativity that they had, and I guess the things around the city. Okay. So art is always in me. I don't think I grew up to become what I already am.
Yes.
So in the house, there was always a plethora of food and clothing and art. Okay. So in the house that I grew up with, where my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my mother was, there was always art.
Okay.
But not in the sense of what we see in museums. When I say art, I look at food as art, the way that they dressed, the way that we lived, the way that the house was laid out. Everything is art. So not necessarily something that just hung on a wall that is an inanimate object,
right.
But the people in the lives. Everybody's super colorful. So
Tell me about where you grew up in Detroit. West side, east side, what schools you went to?
all sides. When people always ask, like, where are you from? I'm from all sides. My family, my mom, my grandmother, they were all from the east side. So over by Charlevoix, Lily Bridge. And so we were always on the east side. But I grew up, like, as a small kid on the northwest side, so between Tuxedo and Webb, Dexter, Elmhurst,
Right.
all those areas, and then we moved further west, or northwest, so we were past, I would say, Greenfield,
Okay.
Southfield, so all over the city. I don't think that there was one place that was like uniquely ours. So when people say what side, I say all sides.
All sides. Tell me how Detroit informs your actual work.
Well, Detroit is a place, and I say this often, Detroit is a place that if you live here, you have to work. I mean, we have a blue-collar mentality, so it's not a place where, well, the way that I grew up, everybody worked. So I don't know how not to do that.
Right.
So it's just innately who I am.
So you work, but you work with paint.
I work with paint, there isn't a medium that I have met that I don't like.
Okay.
Maybe gouache. That might be a lie, I don't like gouache. But
Okay.
I work with paint, I work with charcoal, I work with pencil, I'll do collage, I like mixed media, I even like the digital media.
Okay.
But I feel like Detroit informs me because there isn't anything that I can do that is not influenced by what's around me. And that could be whatever's happening in the news, whatever's happening in the community that I live in. And then Detroit is just, it's a magical, mystical place. From the salt mines to just the people who were here, the people who made the city. But everything about it has a certain swag,
Okay.
or a certain panache that other places don't have.
I'd love to talk to you about the experience of painting live, because not all visual artists do it. Some visual artists are really just about creating something and putting it on a wall in a gallery. And your work, you take it to the people, you bring it to audiences. So tell me the experience, what it feels like when you're painting a live piece as opposed to just being in your studio by yourself here creating.
So when I'm in the studio by myself, first of all, I am my own audience. So sometimes I'm in my own head, I'm in my own heart, and I'm doing something that is a language that I understand. So I'm creating more of a language just for Sabrina. If it's going to be a show where I'm inviting people to come to a gallery or it's going to be in a museum, then I'm thinking about what I'm trying to say. If I'm on stage, it's entertaining.
Your outfits are amazing on stage.
I always say I'm my first canvas.
Okay.
So I'm a part of the installation that's taking place. But I think there's a part of being an artist that people think is magical. And sometimes they forget that if I say I'm an artist, they're like, you're an artist? Like, really? Like, people think it's magic. Like, you can't draw that. You didn't draw that. But if you take the mysticism out of that whole idea of I go to a dark space or a private space and I create something, but I do it in front of you, then you start off with an empty canvas and then you see it just magically appear. And you're like, whoa, you really did it. So I think in one sense, it shows that I can actually do it right with my hands, right in front of you, and there's a set time. I try and do at least 3 pieces. So I'm like rushing through it. I want it to look good, but sometimes I lose myself in the music. So the music kind of is my muse, but I also forget that the audience is there. So I'm grooving to the music and I'm jamming out on the canvas. So painting live is very, it can be entertaining, but sometimes I gotta remember, oh, dang, there's an audience behind me.
I think you did several series of pieces on wallpaper. Can you talk about your use of wallpaper as canvas?
I like the idea of pattern and a ground. Very much like I dress in layers, but I think people are like onions. We are sometimes what you think you see. There's always different layers beneath it. And so when I create on top of old wallpaper or something that exists, there's a ground already. So I don't have as much work to do, but I'm just adding to the aesthetics of the piece with the ground that's already created. But I like the idea of fabric and pattern and the repetition of print, and that's why I use those. That's why I create the grounds, or either I'll use very old wallpaper.
You're watching Meet the Artist. Coming up next, more with Sabrina Nelson.
Hey, can you help me move?
Oh, you know what? I'm stuck at the office.
Hi, I'm moving.
No problem, sir. You can get your Xfinity services installed on the date you choose or have a self-install kit sent to your new home.
Thank you.
Finally get some help moving. Call 1-855-MOVE-EDGE today.
So Sabrina, I know that family is very important to you. You have beautiful children, one who's also an amazing visual artist. But I want to talk about some of the images that are in your work, and there's some large paper pieces. I think my favorite is the one of your daughter, Sudani. And I know you're also your son-in-law, I believe, is one of those people. So can you tell us about those large-scale pieces?
Okay, the large-scale paper pieces were based on the idea of, living in the city with all the chaos that happens, and just being still and letting it move around you. I'm usually pretty hyper, I'm moving around, but whenever something really crazy happens, I'm the one who usually gets real quiet and very still and figures out what to do immediately. Those pieces were named after yoga poses. So the one of Sudani is actually Savanyasa, which is the last pose that you have, which is called the corpse pose, so that your body tells you, your body has to process what it's just been through. So you actually lay and rest, you breathe, and you just relax. And so that's what that pose was about. You let go of everything. Bomani's pose, I can't remember, it's almost like the tree pose, but it's really about just kind of opening up and making sure that all your chakras are together. And I like the idea of him being in it because he's a strong, tall guy in that one. And then I'm also in one, and I think I'm in either the mountain pose or the tree pose.
I didn't realize those are yoga poses.
Those are yoga poses. So they're going to hang at the
Bikram?
Bikram studio, Detroit Midtown Bikram.
Nice. Okay, so maybe I'll actually go in there and sweat for an hour and turn to a puddle.
90 minutes.
So I can look at your work.
90 minutes.
So we're talking about family. I want to talk, we both have daddy's name, Tom. Our father's Tom, and I know your dad's really important to you. So tell me about how your relationship with your dad, you know, how that's informed your work, you know, later in life, you know?
So my father's name is Thomas, and he grew up being a creative artist. He actually took classes at the DIA when he was a little boy. And so Thomas worked at the Ford plant, but his joy was painting signs all over the city. So a lot of the hand-lettered signs that are on the west side and in Dearborn, if they're still up, they're still his. And so that's how he had his joy, by going out and painting signs, and he would just give the money away, which was just, you know, weird to me. I'm like, so you getting this money and you just give it away? And he was like, well, this is my joy, this is my passion. And the name of his painting company was called God and I. So Thomas is an artist, and we have a long history of artists in the family. His mother was a storyteller, his sisters were artists, his brothers are musicians. So everybody in the family is very creative. So how can I not be what I already am? You know, so I come from a long line of creativity.
But I really want to talk about this Blackbird installation, what you're going to be doing in the space that we're sitting in.
Okay. Well, how it came about was Nina Simone is one of my muses, along with Frida Kahlo and several other artists. Nina Simone says that it's the job of the artist to make sure that, you know, what's happening in the world, you talk about it. So it's almost as if she calls you to challenge you and say, what's happening in the world and how do you interpret that? And so with Black Lives Matter, with what's happening in the city where we're losing people like Rainisha McBride or Chanel Berry to Trayvon Martin. And it's not just the police, but it can be any community, anything that's happening. I keep thinking about blackbirds. And blackbirds are a metaphor for the black bodies. Now, most of my work is feminist in theme. And so I keep going back and forth in my mind with the idea of the black body representing these little girls that keep dying here. Like, you know, what could they have been? You know, and how do we miss them? And so I think of them as celestial bodies now, but I want the Blackbird installation to talk about that. You know, I can't live in this world and be an artist and not be sensitive to all the things that are happening around me. And I don't want to just do another march or another protest, but as an artist, that's my voice, that's my language. So the installation will talk about that. So there will be a nest that I build. There will be a lot of... What are you building the nest out of? Some old, you know, when you look at birds and they build nests, they build it out of everything, you know, from sticks to plastic bags to paper. And I'm just thinking of like found objects, but also things that mean things to those that are not here. And the things that will go in the nest will be plastic. It may be newspaper articles of people from like Ayanna Jones or Chanel Berry or Rainisha McBride or whomever. And these are local people. You know, local celestial bodies or black bodies. So I want it to be a visceral experience, so when you come in, you can feel the weight of it. Also, it's gonna be multi-layered, so I wanna have a film connected to it of me digging and burying the bodies in the soil, and I also want to do a recording of Nina Simone's song, Blackbird.
I wanna know about this recording of Blackbird I've been hearing about.
Well, I've always sang, but I don't feel like, you know, it's the passionate part of me. I feel like my visual voice is stronger than my vocal voice. So, but I feel like it needs to come from my voice instead of asking somebody else to sing it. So I just want to sing through my body and see what that feels like.
So what I do love about you as a person is that you care about who comes after you. And you're dedicated yourself as, I mean, I don't know, you've been at CCS many years at the College for Creative Studies, recruiting our babies and getting them scholarships, children who are in our high schools who imagine themselves as artists but can't imagine how they would ever make a dollar doing it.
Right.
Tell me about, there's two questions. One is, give me some advice for young artists, but also what inspires you to do that work?
I've been there 20 years. This will be my 21st year in 2016. I feel like if I wasn't there, some of those folks would be like Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. Like, I'm not sure that people would go to the Flint schools that I go to.
Right.
Or recruiters would go to the schools in Saginaw or in Downriver or in Detroit. So I feel like I'm doing something that I'm supposed to do. And because I came from Cooley High School and I didn't have a portfolio when I applied to CCS, I got rejected. And no one told me how to do it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm in the place so that that doesn't happen to anybody else, if I can help it.
Yeah, I always hear you asking for the portfolio.
Yeah, you know,
Where's
I
your
want to see your
portfolio?
portfolio, and if you don't know what that means, then let me help you understand that language.
Okay.
Let me show you how to get in and show you what you need to do. What I would tell a young, aspiring artist is to keep going. The only way you can get good at something is practice.
Perfect. Practice.
And you shouldn't really care what somebody else thinks about what you're doing, because that's none of your business.
Yeah.
You know, just keep going. You know, it's good to have a mentor,
Right.
but if
Usain Bolt represents Xfinity Internet. What happens when we double the speed on 2 of our most popular plans? Meet his twice as fast brother, Usain Bolt. Now stream movies and shows twice as fast. Xfinity, the fastest just got faster.
Craig Paul Nowack has exhibited his artwork throughout the United States and abroad. Internationally, he's displayed in France and in Berlin. Craig believes that Detroit is an art city and that right now is one of the only places in the world where an artist can make anything happen. Hi, Craig.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Craig Nowack. Thank you for doing the show.
Thank you.
But we couldn't have done the show without actually coming to you. And when I walked in, I was like, we can't do a show with him without coming to this space.
Right.
So tell me about this space that we're in.
Before I went to college, I lived in Brighton for 17 years.
Okay.
And this is my grandma's house.
It's your grandma.
So I live with my grandma.
She's the queen.
She's the queen of this
Yeah.
house in South Lyon, which is like an hour away from
Yeah.
Detroit, as you know.
Yeah.
So originally I had to live here because I couldn't afford to live in Detroit
Got you.
or anywhere else.
Wow.
But I would have lived in Detroit if I could have. But now I lived here because I help her out, and she obviously helps me out.
It's
I couldn't have this much
beautiful.
art. And,
You have a dreamy space for an artist. Tell me how you began, and when did you realize you were an artist? Did you have a moment, or have you been an artist your whole life, or?
I didn't really have a moment. I used to draw when I was a kid for my friends. That's how I made friends.
Okay.
I also had a few successful moments in elementary school where I did a painting and they decided they wanted to keep it until I graduated from high school. So they hung it up in their offices as sort of like an honor.
Really?
And I won one of those coloring contests when I was really young.
Really?
Yeah, I got All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Really? A coloring contest?
Yeah, VHS.
Did you take it serious, or did you just do it because you just love to do it? Did you think it would be a career or a job or something?
Not
you
when
did
I was
forever?
younger. No,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't until I was about to graduate from high school.
Okay.
Like literally 2 weeks before I graduated from high school,
Okay.
which was actually like a long process because I dropped out for several years, went back, got my GED,
Okay.
and then went to adult ed. But 2 weeks before I graduated from all of that stuff,
Right.
my metal arts teacher told me that I could actually be an artist.
Wow.
I didn't even know that I could be an artist. So
Right.
she said, go apply to CCS. I put together a portfolio in 2 weeks, went to CCS, boom.
And that was it?
Yeah.
Wow. So your mediums, did you have a medium at that point? Was it just drawing then?
Just drawing.
Okay.
Yeah, my whole portfolio was drawing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did it evolve? Because it's clearly evolved.
Yeah, I don't draw much anymore.
Okay.
From then on, I started learning painting from Robert Sheffman.
Okay.
He was my mentor at CCS.
Okay.
And he basically taught me everything I needed to know about reproducing images on canvas.
So the people that you paint, and this is just something that I kind of know, I know that you actually know some of them. So what inspires you to decide who you're going to paint? And I know you like to paint women. Tell me about Yeah, about what inspires you. How do you decide?
Well, for 4 years, maybe a little longer, 4 years I did only self-portraits. So I was doing self-portraits because I could use any media that I wanted and still talk about me. And the reason I did self-portraits was because I wanted to talk about the relationship between someone's inner self and their outer self. The inner self is memories, thoughts, emotions, anything you can't see. And then the outer self is a physical appearance. That branched off into me making art that didn't involve portraits, and now I'm making art that involves everybody. Because I was actually talking about everybody before, but nobody got it. They saw me, they said, you're narcissistic. And I was talking about humanity.
Humanity, right.
Yeah.
You're watching Meet the Artist. Coming up next, more with Craig Paul Nowack.
And with Uverse, you can move your TV anywhere in the house.
We're happy with Xfinity. Why would we move the TV?
I don't know, but let me show you. Now, if you had the Uverse wireless receiver, you could take this anywhere. See? Anywhere you want.
Don't get duped by Uverse. Get the most entertainment on any device anywhere with Xfinity from Comcast.
But I was really, really honored recently, and I'm just glad that it was really beautiful for you as an artist, because me trying to expand as a poet and trying to figure out mediums to show my work in a visual form, and you gave me this great advice and then invited me to this amazing workshop at the Red Bull House of Art. So tell me about the everybody's that are now being involved with all these faces that are around us, and how did you get people to show up?
All right, so these are all ceramic faces. It's probably only been a month since I started them, and you can see how many I've done in that time.
Wow.
I started with only 6 faces. The whole project is called Collect Faces. Those 6 faces get turned into partial faces, and then those are made from the original molds, but they're all life casts. So, as you know, we did you.
I know, I freaked out.
yeah, but it came out good.
It was so good, yes.
I really need to do your hair.
Yeah, you gotta do my hair. You gotta figure it out. I suck at doing hair, I found.
No, yours turned out good.
It was okay.
It was
yeah,
good.
But the face, I did have that moment though where you feel like you have to kind of give in, to it and be real calm. And when you see the outcome, you're like, oh God, I wish I would have never moved. Explain what was this inspiration for this, and is it going to be an exhibition that's coming up, or?
No planned exhibitions.
Okay.
The inspiration was I wanted to make all-inclusive art, so everybody can be involved, and I wanted to do these life casts because I've done my own. I did my own, but those were done with just plaster. Okay. So as soon as I realized I could use alginate, I bought up a bunch of alginate, I bought up a bunch of plaster gauze, and that's how we made you guys'
Okay, alginate. Explain it to the folks who are just like, what's that?
Right. Alginate is like, it's a special effects grade material that you can use to make exact life casts of faces.
Yeah.
So.
It's that putty.
Yeah, it's like a.
What did it feel like? I don't know.
Pancake batter.
Yeah.
I feel like you're being turned into a monster.
Yeah, it was great. And then so it turns into that. And then what happens? What's the process?
Well, it has to go through. I mean, it starts as plaster.
Yeah.
Like this one.
Yeah.
The plaster one is what we pour in. The plaster is what we pour into the alginate.
Okay.
So this comes out of that, and then it gets cleaned up, sanded, sculpted. Hair is put onto it. The face is cleaned up if it needs to be cleaned up, or left the way it is if it has beautiful texture like Bruce's.
Bruce is great, right?
So, and then those, a mold is made of those. There's a rubber mold that's made from that, so that I can cast more just in case that one gets messed up. And also I have plans to do like faux brick walls. So you know how you have faux walls?
Yes.
Well, I want to take them and actually make them of faces. Yeah, imagine a city building and the whole wall is just all faces, all people from that city. So yeah.
I love it.
That's what I can do with the rubber mold.
Okay.
And then I also have to make a second mold that's just for ceramics. And I take the ceramic mold, and that's how these
That's beautiful.
These are made.
How many are you gonna make? Is there a number, or are you just going and going until you're satisfied?
Well, each person that I cast, I make a limited edition of 50 faces from it.
Wow.
I also take one more, which is an artist proof, so 51 faces total.
Okay.
And the artist proof is given to the person who said for the face casting.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they get their own face.
That's awesome.
Free of charge.
Free of charge.
I don't charge for that.
You don't charge for that. Okay. Tell me about Detroit and your connection to the city, and how that shaped you as an artist.
Well, Detroit is like my art family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Brighton, but I don't talk to anybody from Brighton anymore.
Okay.
Maybe one or two people
Right.
on Facebook,
Yeah.
if that counts.
That happens.
But everybody that I actually talk to, art-wise, life-wise, is in Detroit.
Okay.
Plus, I love Detroit. When I lived there, I'd bike everywhere.
Right.
You know, it's we're close.
Yeah.
We're all close-knit. It's easy access to other wonderful people.
Yeah. Like, this is very blue collar. Like, looks like an assembly line, you know, in here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
treat
were-
it like an assembly line.
Like an assembly line.
Yeah, it's steps, you know. You finish this step, and then
Yeah.
you do the next step, and if I want to make multiples, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you work constantly on your craft?
Yeah. I was telling these guys earlier, I don't do anything else.
Yeah.
You know, I don't go out, and when I do, I'm usually by myself.
Yeah.
I just enjoy making the art, whatever kind of art I can make.
What advice do you give to a young artist, like, you know, and going up anywhere and seeing this and saying, oh, I want to make art and I want to learn how to, you know, make faces out of, you know, different materials? And is there some advice you can give?
Follow your instincts.
Okay.
Do it your way. Don't do it anyone else's way, because that's not going to work for you. You know, for me, it works to just go balls to the wall. You know,
I know that's right.
Make as much as I can, or whatever I can think of. You know, it's not for everybody.
Okay. Tell us where we can find your work. Do you sell your work? Can we buy these beautiful paintings?
Yeah.
Please?
Yeah, please.
Like right now?
If you want, you can buy them.
Do you have, is there a website people can find you? Can they get in touch?
Everything is on collectfaces.com, collect-faces.com. Yeah, it tells you all about the Collect Faces project. It explains the programming and how we're trying to do the thing with the students, and where we do demos and everything more often. It talks about me as I'm the artist behind the project. It actually talks about me a lot in third person, but it's only me right now.
Okay.
Eventually there'll be more people involved.
Yes.
And it has my paintings on there. You can look at the paintings if you like.
Yeah, we want to look at the paintings.
Yeah.
If you weren't making art, what would you be doing?
Writing.
You'd be writing.
Yeah.
So do you write?
I don't as much as I would like.
All right.
I used to do it a lot, used to really enjoy it.
Okay.
Actually, there's a lot of writing in some of my paintings.
Okay.
But lately, I've been in a little of a roadblock. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it happens.
For making music, writing.
Making music or writing, yeah.
Writing.
What music? What, do you play an instrument?
I used to make hip-hop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really hip-hop beats?
Yeah. Vocals.
Hip-hop vocals?
Yeah.
MC?
Yeah.
You're an MC too?
I was.
Okay. See, I didn't get that in the bio. I didn't get that.
I don't put that out there.
That's hilarious. You want to spit before we close? Okay, rap? Okay.
No.
So I just want to say thank you for having us in your beautiful space.
Yeah, thank you.
And just continued luck. And I'm so honored that I'm one of your collected faces. Thank you. It's awesome. I'm glad I could show up.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica.
Thank you for watching Meet the Artist, the show that features Michigan-made art by Michigan-made artists. I'm your host, Jessica Care Moore, and we'll see you next time.
If Usain Bolt represents Xfinity Internet, what happens when we double the speed on two of our most popular plans? Meet his twice-as-fast brother, Usain Bolt. Now stream movies and shows twice as fast. Xfinity, the fastest just got faster.